This video is about some things that I learned on a cross-country bicycle trip from Seattle to New York City. It took 47 days. It was like 3,600 something miles, and I rode 75 miles a day for 45 days, and I took two break days. My original plan was to ride for 45 days straight, and I ended up taking two rest days and getting there 2 days late at 47 days. But I was able to do the whole thing. Set out to go from Seattle to New York without ever using any other kind of transportation except for my bicycle, and I did the whole thing. I started this ride in June of 2015, and then I completed it 47 days later. So whenever that was, I think it actually says on this trophy behind me. My mom made me a trophy when I got done. It's really cute. Yeah, so I started June 17th, and I completed it August 3rd in 2015. But the first thing I learned, or the number one lesson I learned, was that people are generally good if you give them a chance. Like a lot of people just don't trust humanity. They think the world's just a dangerous, nasty place. But from my experience, if you kind of just put out a good energy and you're just nice to everyone that you meet and you're open minded and just like a nice person, that's how you're gonna end up getting treated. And I feel like there's a lot of bad people out there, bad people that are really just looking for an opportunity to be good to someone, and for one reason or another, maybe they've gotten a few hard shakes in their life or whatever, and they do a lot of bad, mean things to people. But really, a lot of those people that are just mean, they're looking for someone to just give them a chance to kind of redeem themselves, I think. And I had so many people, so many unlikely people just help me out. I had complete strangers invite me into their homes, feed me dinner, put me up for the night, offer to help me when I got a flat tire. Just really incredible kindness that I didn't expect. I was sleeping outside most of the nights, and I would sleep in like baseball fields and parks and just random places. And I thought that doing that, I would end up getting hassled by a lot of people. And I never got hassled one time. Uh, I was told one time by a security guard that I couldn't sleep in a park. And I told him what I was doing. And he actually ended up inviting me over to his house and let me sleep on his couch for the night. And yeah, I was just really blown away by how good people will be when you just like kind of put out the right energy and don't give them any reason to treat you wrongly. Um, Second thing I learned was you really don't need a lot of stuff to be happy. I had maybe like 40 pounds of gear. Half of that was tools and stuff to fix my bicycle. Um, and then I just had a couple pairs of clothes. I did bring a laptop and just some food and mostly clothes and a laptop were like the only things I brought, and 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 that was it. I mean, I was just out there with nothing, just a couple pairs of clothes and like a sleeping bag, and you know, like nothing fancy, and I was happy, just like I was having the time of my life, living for 47 days with practically nothing. So I realized, man, if I could be this happy with just carrying stuff on a bicycle, like I don't need all this stuff that I've collected over the years, like all these things. That's not what's making my life better. Like having some things are nice, and you do need some things, but really I just learned to look at my life and kind of cut out things that weren't that essential. And so third thing I learned was that the universe will provide for you if you let it. Like I mean, throughout this whole trip, I was really vulnerable. Like a lot of things could have gone wrong, that didn't. And, sometimes things did go wrong, but I always just kind of tried to be open to just whatever experience I was meant to have. And it seemed like whenever I needed something the most, like if I was stuck outside and in the rain, like I would, like someone would offer to help me out, put me up for the night, or like give me a hint on where I could go. I mean, like one time I had heat exhaustion in North Dakota, and I was like way, like miles and miles away from the nearest town, 100 degrees out, and I pulled over under an overpass and just laid on the side of the road. And some like 40-year-old woman with toddlers pulled over and offered and gave me like lemonade and soda and water, and was able to like get me hydrated so I could keep going to the town. And yeah, man, like the universe will provide for you if you let it. Over, like I've traveled a lot of places, and it always just kind of, at least in my case, maybe I just have good karma or good luck, but I feel like just like when you really need something, the universe will provide for you. Number four is don't overplan. Like I really didn't plan at all for the trip. I my plan was just to do 75 miles a day, and I had like a little odometer on my bicycle that told me how far I was going every day, and I would just ride until it said 75 or more, and then find a place to sleep for the night. And I would just pull into town when it's getting dark, uh, lock my bike up at a dive bar, and just go talk to people. And something always just worked out when I needed it to, or I just found like a park to sleep in or whatever. But I really didn't plan anything. I didn't plan any of the stops. Like I just said, I'm gonna ride 75 miles a day for 45 days, and that should get me to New York, and it did. So yeah, I think a lot of times people just they plan so much for things that they never end up even doing. Like the most important thing is just if you want to do something big, just start doing it, and then the plan will kind of fall into place as you go. So number five is you set your own limits. And like the one of the things I heard most, like every single day, was people would come up to me, and they would ask me what I was doing. I'd tell them, and they would tell me, oh wow, like I could never do that. And a lot of these people, I mean, they were like just as able-bodied as I am, and but for one reason or another, they just think that they're not capable of doing what I'm doing. Maybe I'm in a little bit better shape than some people or whatever, and maybe I could ride a little bit further, but like just that mentality of like, oh, I could never do that. Well, you could, maybe you couldn't do it in 47 days, but I bet you could do it in 60 days. So it's like you really set your own limits. And like if I had said I wanted to do it in a month, I probably could have done it in a month if I just had done like 100 miles a day. But I did 75 instead, and then that was really what I ended up with. And before day one, I had never ridden 75 miles in my life. I did like a 60-mile trial run, and then it got dark, and I went home, and I just figured like, yeah, I could probably do it. So I could probably do 75, and then yeah, it worked out. So yeah, you set your own limits. Number six is you can have a good time just about anywhere. Like there's so many, like I mean, I had a blast in the most unlikely spots, like dive bars with 1,000 people. It only takes one awesome person and like one awesome story to make your night. And if you just kind of open yourself and just like let the universe kind of like provide for you, uh I feel like good people will come into your life. You'll have an amazing time. And sometimes it's just you being by yourself, looking up at the stars in the middle of nowhere, and just feeling completely alive. Like if if you think like you need to go somewhere else to have a good time, like the problem is probably you. So that's one thing that I definitely learned. Number seven is don't listen to advice. So I know this is like kind of me giving you advice, but yeah, don't listen to advice. Like, because really advice is cheap. You know, everyone out there is saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And on my bicycle ride, I had people tell me, oh, you should go on this road and go see this thing. And it's like I would look it up on my phone. I did bring a phone. I didn't mention that earlier. I look it up on my phone, and it's like, you know, this route that someone said I really should take. It would be like an extra 80 miles out of my way, out of my destination. So it's like, yeah, really, like, no one knows exactly what you're going through, and unless somebody's done the exact same thing, like, you know, I could give advice about riding a bicycle across America because I did it, but if someone who's never done something tries to give you advice about that something, just don't listen to it. And I really learned how to just go with my gut. People would say like, oh, you got to do this, you got to check this out, you got, oh, come here, and just like, I learned to just listen to my gut. You kind of have like just a basic, I don't know, I developed just an instinct about things or people or whatever. But yeah, just trust yourself. Don't listen to random advice. It's mostly bullshit. You know, unless someone's like an expert in that subject. And last and finally, number 8 is just keep moving forward. They say, you know, slow and steady wins the race. And I really find that true for just about anything. If you're trying to get good grades, if you're trying to ride a bicycle across America, you're trying to do anything hard, like anything worth doing, it's probably going to take like a while to get it done. You're not just going to do it and get it all done in one day. So just keep chipping away, keep moving forward, just keep moving those feet, and you'd be surprised how just like the little things add up into something really big. And yeah, so that kind of concludes the biggest things that I took away from my bicycle ride across America, and hopefully you can take something away from this too.